Hello, welcome back to the Earbites podcast with your host, me, Aiden Crossan. And on this episode, it's episode 2 by the way, that's pretty cool. On this episode, we're doing a thorough analysis of not one, not two, but 3 great works of literature, all written by the author Jack London. Well, this time, analysis of the author wasn't very important, but I still have some notes here, so let's do. He was born January 12th, 1876 in San Francisco, California. He died November 22nd, 1916 in Glen Allen, California. Not very important. He learned from Charles Darwin, Karl Marx, and Friedrich Nietzsche. He participated in the Klondike Gold Rush, which will reoccur through multiple times through the works that we're gonna cover. And after being unsuccessful in the Gold Rush, he became a writer, and it worked out for him pretty well, since now he's great and all powerful, well known. Let's so. For this project we have to do, it's we read a book, a short story, and a poem. The three works of literature I picked was the book, Call of the Wild, To Build a Fire, and The Klondike's Dream. All of them are, here you go. Alright, so all of them depict the harsh realities of the challenges of life in the frozen wilderness during the Klondike Gold Rush. The setting, which is obviously the Klondike Gold Rush, provides the backdrop of adventure, danger, and greed, since the entire point of the Gold Rush was to farm gold. Not many people were successful, and many died. I guess another common element that is within all three is the contrast between civilization and nature, and it shows how humans are often ill-prepared and outmatched by the forces of the wild. So, Call of the Wild would be when Buck is a lead sled dog, and I think it was his third set of owners were working he and his crew to their deaths. And Buck was saved by his final owner, John Thornton, and they lived together for a while. And then in To Build a Fire, this man was arrogant, and he ignored the advice of the old man that warned him. Yeah, know that pretty well. And then in The Klondike's Dream, which showed he was just cold and miserable, dreaming of like all the great food he can have. That sounds kind of nice. Great food. And then finally, the last similarity between these three works, it would be the role of animals, companions, enemies, or guides for the characters. And sometimes. Oh wait, I read this one. So these I guess we'll call them side characters. They guide people. They guide the main characters, and they represent their inner nature of the main character. And at least we'll I'll go to the end. All right, analysis time. Call of the Wild, the book. All right, so we don't really need a summary since they're just answering an FRQ question. So the FRQ question I picked was from the 2002 question 3 AP test. This was based on, I don't remember the book, but I reworded it so it fits this book. So it's write an essay in which you can explain how John Thornton could be viewed as morally ambiguous and why his moral ambiguity is significant to the work as a whole. And in the question it says avoid mere plot summary. So that's why there's no summary. But the summary of this, I'll do it anyway. But the summary of this is basically about a dog who got kidnapped, or he was sold by one of his owner's workers, and he was sent to the Klondike Gold Rush to become a sled dog slave. And since he left his domesticated life, he realizes the inner animal within him. He had that dog in him, dare I say. And yeah, and then the rest of the story is basically how he unlocks his inner animal. It's a very dull description, but that's pretty much what happens. Alright, so anyway, the question I already said that. Okay, never mind. Anyway, to answer the question, so we'll open this up with the, so John Thornton he's okay. Essential knowledge that can be applied to this would be character 1AG would be applied to John Thornton, and I'll read what character 1AG is, and that is a character's responses to the resolution of the narrative in their words. Wait. Hang on, I think I mixed it up. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Never mind. Resolution of the narrative in their words or in their actions reveals something that about that character's own values. These responses may be inconsistent with the previously established behaviors or perspectives of that character. So John Thornton, great example of this actually. So he acts super unpredictably in the story. So since he's a complex character, he was morally ambiguous because he shows both kindness and cruelty to Buck, the main character, who was a dog. So, from the beginning of the relationship, he saves Buck from the brutal beating by his previous owner that was working the dog, or Buck, and his crew to their deaths, and they died. Spoilers. And then, so, he beat his previous owner and treated him with love and respect. He also encouraged Buck to follow his instincts and explore the wilderness. To awaken his wild animal, de-domesticate himself. And then, but on the other hand of his weird character, he exploits his Buck's loyalty and strength for his own gain and glory, since he bets on Buck's ability to pull a 1,000-pound sled and risk his life in the process. So he almost died for money, which Buck has nothing to gain from it except brownie points. He also ignores Buck's desire to join a wolf pack and forces him to stay by his side. So he supported Buck's exploration in the wilderness, but he never actually gave him a chance to break off completely from humans. He wasn't more wild. What is this? His moral code reflects the theme of the conflict between civilization and nature, since Thornton represents the best and worst aspects of human civilization. He offers protection and companionship, but also he imposes limitations and expectations on Buck. But Buck, in contrast, he represents the wild spirit that craves the freedom and adventure that wants to be wild. Just craves adventure and freedom. By making Thornton morally ambiguous, London shows that neither civilization nor nature is inherently good or evil, but rather they are incompatible forces that shape the destiny of living beings. Very deep. let's soak that in for a second. Think about it. Good nature or civilization nor nature is inherently good or evil, but rather that they are incompatible forces that shape the destiny of living beings. I'm so proud that I wrote that. Alright. Short story time. It's a lot faster than before. Short story time. So the short story I picked was To Build a Fire, which was about a man who was, as I said, was too arrogant to listen to an old man, and he suffered greatly from the consequences of his ignorance due to the power of Mother Nature. So the question I picked was from the 2013 question 2 AP test, and my question to fit this story would be in the following passage from Jack London's short story To Build a Fire, which focuses on the life of a man finding his way back to camp in the Klondike Gold Rush. Read the passage carefully, then write an essay in which you analyze how London employs literary devices to characterize the man, and capture a situation. So, this man suffered in very cold weather. And I lost my train of thought. So let's move on to the literary devices. Kind of a tongue twister for me. So one of the literary devices would be foreshadowing. The foreshadowing was used to let us know that something bad is really gonna happen to this man. So the quote I picked was, "The man did not know cold." Followed so there's multiple quotes. I'll just read the entire note I have. The quote, "The man did not know cold," followed by the 50 degrees below zero meant 80 odd degrees of frost, from the first paragraph of the short story. This implies that the man is ignorant to the conditions he's in, and will lead him to face severe consequences based on his lack of knowledge, since he had no idea what cold was. So I assume, safe to assume here, that he is a southern liver that has no idea what snow is and is dumb. Another example of foreshadowing would be a load of snow lay upon brackets, the tree, close bracket, poised for a fall. From the 7th paragraph of the short story, above the fire he was making. Key term, poised to fall. This insinuates that the snow will lead to the man's downfall, since he never even cared to notice it ever. And it showed, later in the story, that the snow fell down, big shock, and it put out the fire that I was making. So the essential knowledge here would be setting 1G. Let me find that and read that description for you. Setting 1G. So this would be the way character interacts with their surroundings, proves insight about those characters and the settings that they inhabit. So, last quote, great example. He was ignorant and didn't even realize that there was a bunch of snow right above his campfire site. And he suffered the consequences just because he did not even care to notice snow, like a big pile of snow, just fall right on top of him. And also, I guess the first quote worked too, since he did not know cold and 50 degrees below zero. Also fits into this, since it's the way he chose, even with his the temperature, which would be his surroundings and settings, that it's super cold and he did not even realize what he was going up against. And he, poor man, not really. The second literary device used here was contrast. So the main contrast here was between the dog that followed the man and the man. So the dog was really portrayed as a creature of instinct and adaptation. The senses that senses the danger of the cold, and it uses its survival instinct to prioritize its life above all else. Compared to the man, this is a great contrast, by the way. So, in contrast, the man is very dumb. He has no survival instincts. He's more of a creature of reason and pride. His intellect and judgment, which overruled his intuition and feelings, put him in a situation, and which was caused by his, incorrect judgment of a situation by ignoring the old man. Because the old man said, you shouldn't go, because you'll die. And look what happens. He was right. So he contrasts the dog pretty well when it comes to survival. Because to the end of his life, he couldn't even do what it takes to survive, since he still valued dignity over his life. Sad. But it's still his fault. So should have killed the dog first, or earlier, before he had, well, he still had hands, usable hands anyway. So this would be setting 1H. I have setting 1G written here, but H also works too because I reuse G. So H would be, let me find it. Setting H would be the way characters behave in or describe their surroundings, reveal an attitude about those surroundings, and contributes to the development of those characters and readers' interpretation of them. So, great examples I have. So between the man and the dog, great at survival. He wanted to live with his life, and he was like, I don't know, walking around with his great fur coat, saying he's all warm, looking for fire, like no one else's business. And whereas this man, suffering already, well deserved. So his surroundings very cold. They both like have to deal with the cold. But the main thing that sets it different from setting 1G, which is in the same skill area of the essential knowledge, would be the survival instincts that they have. One is survival, or protect yourself, yourself, and only you. That sounds dumb after I said that. Anyway, and then the man, shaking my head, is a creature, was a man. Let's say creature, since he's less of a man since he's dead now. Reason and pride, and he did not care because he had more dignity. He died with dignity. I don't know why he chose that, but dignity to him is more important than his own life. I don't know why, but I guess that's what it is. So that would be the main two different developments of characters. Dignity and will to survive. Alright, our last literary device would be imagery. Imagery is going to be showing up one more time after this in our poem. So, in the short story, London describes the Yukon landscape as a vast silence and a cold, unending white. So after reading this, I can already see where this man is right now. He's in cold, dark mountains, probably in like a little what are those things called? Like one of those like makeshift Walmart tents. So he's like suffering. Alright, these imagery quotes were from the second paragraph of the short story. And he also uses sensory details like the absence of sensation in his fingers from the 8th paragraph to convey the effects of the cold and help us visualize the situation that the man's in. So he's cold, showing from the absence of sensation, and then he's alone with the vast silence, and it's a snowstorm. From the cold, unending white. So, and then our second example of imagery is when it's used to display the man's psychological deterioration as he begins to snap to the reality of his situation, with quotes such as, "A certain fear of death seemed to numb him, and that he was losing his battle with the frost." Both are from this 10th paragraph of this short story. Alright, so the essential knowledge here would be figurative language 1 AD. 1 AD. This would be a motive is an yep. So I looked at 5D, identify and explain the function of an image or imagery, and then a motive is, so this is the actual essential knowledge part. A motive is a unified pattern of recurring objects or images used to emphasize a significant idea in large parts throughout the text. So, white, snow, vast silence, he's alone, and no sensation in his fingers. These are what I can visualize from this. It's very clear that you can see. At least for me. I don't know about you. But it's just, that's like the reoccurring themes here. The themes, not details. There we go. Details. Alright. And to close out this part would be, Jack London depicts the man as a tragic hero who falls victim to his own hubris and ignorance. And then he also contrasts the man with the dogs to show how nature favors those who adapt and follow their instincts over those who rely on reason and pride. Shame on that man. Alright, moving on to the poem. Final part. Klondike's Dream, written by Jack London. All these poems, all these works written by Jack London. Just restating that. Making sure you're still here. 2021. Question 1 of the AP test. I used this question. It was from, I don't remember. I rewrote it, and it says, in Jack London's poem, The Klondike's Dream, the speaker shares about living in the Klondike Gold Rush. In a well-written essay, analyze how London uses literary elements and techniques to convey the complexity of the speaker's experience in his situation. So, we come back to this. Imagery. This imagery is great. It gives us details to know what exactly is going on. So, imagery. Our example here would be the rich and fragrant coffee and the beefsteak so rare and the dining room table in the man's dream. These details give us that the descriptions that appeal. So these details are descriptions that appeal to the senses of sight, taste, and smell. Like, I can already that sounds really good. I want to be at that table with that beefsteak and coffee. Like, that sounds so great. Anyway, these descriptions, I read that part. So it appeals to the senses, yeah, while also suggesting comfort and satisfaction. And then, which is in his dream, of course. So this isn't real life. In contrast, his reality, he faced the snow, the cold, and the gaunt famine. And his old sour bread and beans. These images evoke a feeling of discomfort, deprivation, and despair. I'd be miserable if I was cold, in the snow, eating only sour bread and beans. Miserable. Okay. Imagery. How does this go back to the Unit 7? Which is also... I'm not sure if I can do this, but it's... Uno momento. Associated with abstractions. No, stick to the figure 180. I'm not sure if I can still do this, but I'm doing it anyway. Because it's part of my learning. So, I don't think you need me to read it again, but just in case, I will read it again. A motif is a unified pattern of recurring objects or images used to emphasize a significant idea in large parts of or throughout a text. So he keeps coming back to this dream that he has. So his coffee, his beefsteak, and the dining room table. This is like what he wishes where he was if he never left. And it was his mistake to go because greed kind of got him. I don't know, it sounds like he's a dead man for sure. So he's like dreaming like this. He's gone crazy. There's no way he's like actually still surviving off sourdough and beans. Sour bread, not sourdough. Sour bread and beans. So, the purpose of these images were to, in the dreams, which I recovered, and in the reality, the images of reality show feelings of discomfort, deprivation, and despair. Misery. Contrast is our second literary device. Contrast. So, his cares flew away, and he weeps. From line 3 and line 27 is used to show a change from happiness to sorrow. So here's our second essential knowledge, would be figurative language 1AF, which would be by assigning the qualities of a non-human object, entity, or idea to a person or character, the narrator, character, or speaker communicates an attitude about that person or character. So basically what this personification used for his cares flew away, which means he's happy again in his dream, not reality. So it's used to demonstrate or to emphasize the happiness the man felt in this dream. And I want to squeeze something out more. I want to like squeeze another detail out. So it just, I guess the purpose of it was to show like how happy it was in this dream. I just repeated myself. That was a waste of 3 minutes. Okay, and then so second part of this notes. So he uses words like for contrast. It's still contrast. So words like slumbers and lay contrast with the springs and ceases. It shows the difference between the peaceful sleep and the sudden awakening that the man encounters during his nights inside, or in the Klondike Gold Rush, where he is. And words like this emphasize the contrast between the narrator's dream and reality. So, I lost my train of thought. Irony. Final one. We're almost through. 30 minutes is quite a long time to listen to my voice. Irony is used to show the twisted fate brought upon the narrator, which was... my note might be wrong, but the narrator might be the... No, the narrator is the guy, if I remember correctly. So it's shown upon the twisted fate brought upon the character, so it'd be like the snow, the cold, his miserable life, eating sourdough bread and beans, and no one really wants to live that life. If you do, you're crazy and insane, get help. In the title, so a big form of irony is located in the title. Irony is used to give the reader a thought that this is a positive dream, but the story implies that this man is indeed living a nightmare. So when I read this, I got a better meaning of why there's two title parts in the typefast, Mr. Snowden, and this is a very good example of that. So, yeah, the title, Dream. It shows that this will be a great poem. I'm gonna love it. But now that I actually read it, it's like depressing. Feels bad, man. And to complement this, the rhyme scheme has the ironic trait since it creates a musical and playful tone, but it contrasts with the tragic and bleak content that takes within the poem. The poem shows how the speaker's dream of a better life, after he has the gold, which he never got, is shattered by his harsh reality, and how he suffers from hunger and cold in his quest for gold. Poetry. And am I missing anything else? We got similarities, which I covered in the beginning. The book, Call of the Wild, yeah. Essential knowledge that I found in the book. Short story. I answered the FRQ prompt. Answered FRQ for the first one. I think we're good. Take a sip of water. Alright. I think that's a wrap though. We're done. It took a lot of work put in for this. I'm proud of myself. And I don't want to end off on a boring note, so let's do... well, I guess I'll just talk about similarities again. No, that's disrespectful of your time, and I'll let you do your work. So I'll let you get back to whatever you want to do. So, thank you for listening. If you even got this far, that's great. 30 minutes of your life. Be proud. Listen to my possibly dull voice. Anyway, I should be a bedtime story reader. Anyway, you have a good one. And this, if you're interested, check out the Klondike Gold Rush. It's a very cool, historical thing. Yeah. It's gold. Call of the Wild has a movie. I would definitely recommend checking that out. I read both the movie and the book. It's very great. Definitely check it out. And short story and the poem are also good. Definitely check those out too. Alright. Let's end this up. Yeah. Thanks for listening again. And bye.